I was hoping I could help you reconnect with yourself and your body through working what I call the life centers. These life centers are normally known as chakras, but I prefer to call them life centers since they actually create life. Now, how do they create life? Well, when you observe something in everyday life, you see it, you hear it, you smell it, you feel it, the signals of your senses are sent to the brain, but they are just signals to the brain. They are meaningless. The meaning of those signals come from your life centers. Your life centers responds to the information, and that tells the brain or you what is happening to you. So that information is stored together with what the senses experienced. If your life centers don't respond, then your brain thinks this is not really important, and it doesn't engrave it particularly hard into your memory. Our life centers are very basic. They are about survival mostly. So in everyday life, they don't switch on very loudly. They just gently respond. So it's only if you are very in tune with yourself that you sense what is happening, how you're responding. Now, if you are out of touch with your life centers, you are out of touch with what is happening to you. So with this exercise, you try and reconnect with your life centers. You are also aligning the life centers or harmonizing them. Through experience, these life centers can get damaged or out of tune or out of whack or over respond inappropriately. So we are trying to get them back to respond normally and reconnect with them. Be aware of what we are experiencing. Now, I work 3 life centers in the head, one at the bottom of the skull. That is the one that's responsible for the sense of self. That is actually also your auditory center. So talking to yourself gives you a sense of self. That's why it's important throughout the day to try and talk to yourself. What is happening? What do you think about this? What is going on? What is this object? Having a conversation with yourself. So that is one of the main ones we are going to concentrate on. Then the second one is in the middle of the brain. That is actually a center that you can't enter. You'll find that you can just become aware of it, but you won't be able to enter into it. I'll explain it more in detail maybe in a future video. Then I also work at the top of the brain, right on top of it, inside of the skull but on top of it. So that is 1, 2, 3 inside of the skull. Then 1 on top, that is more a spiritual center. Then 3 in the chest area. Let me just try and tilt this down a little bit. See how I'm going to do this. So in the chest area I work 3. One at the bottom of the throat. That is your regulator. That center regulates all the biochemical processes in your body. Then I've discovered in myself another one that actually also does it's got a regulating function in the body. Sometimes when I'm very in tune with my body and I'm well put together, I spiral, try and start at the bottom and spiral up. I actually spiral my hand up and I go from the one center to the next, I try and do it in one breath up. Usually I can't do it in one breath, I need 2 breaths, and while I was doing that I sensed that this center of mine was blocked. The life force, let's call it the life force, is not going through it. There was a blockage here, so that's why I also work there. Then there's the heart. Now I sense the heart quite low. It might be the stomach that I'm sensing, but I sense it quite low. Most people, I think, would like to sense their heart here, but I sense it lower. I go lower, so there's 3 in the chest. 1, 2, 3. Then at the bottom there are 3 more. Let's see if I can take this down again. I am sitting cross-legged. I can't see what is going on here. Let me see. There's not much light going in here. But anyhow, right at the bottom is your bottom life center. It's very difficult for me to sense that one. Then the second one is the most important life center of them all. Your whole body is actually built around that triangular bone at the back. I think it's called the sacrum. It's a triangular bone. Everything centers around that bone. If it is out of whack, then everything in your body will be misaligned and not functioning properly. That is because we are totally dependent on our digestive system. This bone at the back regulates everything in the body, so that is a main center that you have to concentrate on. Then, so it's 1 at the bottom, the sacral bone at the back, and the third one is your center that activates when you're in a life-changing situation, when you sense there's something, some danger, or just try and get the camera to focus again. This one, the diaphragm, where the diaphragm connects and operates. That, what they call the pit of the stomach. Now, initially when you start this practice, you can concentrate on just the soft organs if you can't actually focus on them. Especially if you are traumatized or stressed out or not in contact with yourself, you're going to find this exercise very difficult. Your mind will keep on wandering. You can't put your mind on it. You'll find it a very difficult exercise to do. So, but stick with it. Do it as much as you can throughout the day, whenever you need it, especially if you come under attack. When you come under attack, you can sense which organs are activating. That disturbs the life center. We want to harmonize them. You want to respond to life situations with all your life centers. You want them all to function. So sometimes you meet a person and he's very abrasive, or you feel uncomfortable in his presence. That is when his life centers are not functioning properly, or some of them are overactive. Like, for instance, somebody who keeps on telling dirty jokes, or somebody who keeps on gossiping about other people. They're not in contact with their own life centers. So let's start with the one at the bottom of the brain. So what you're going to do is you're going to hum and try and look inside of the brain. Try and develop your internal vision to actually look at that region. You can do that by first going to the eyes and then try and look at that region. If it's at all possible, in the back of your head, try and be conscious of the rest of the body. So you're trying to integrate all the centers, but if you can't do that, put your concentration 100% just on that life center. Now you can do it with your eyes open or your eyes closed, it doesn't matter. I normally do these in the mornings, and I don't spend enough time on the life centers working them. But the more you work them, the more in contact you'll come with yourself. The better and more balanced your reaction will be. And the more I study these life centers, the more I realized how important they are. Their effects are far, far reaching. Have you ever had a day where everything just seems to go wrong? One after the other, things just keeps on going out of whack and it doesn't want to go right for you. That is when your life centers are not aligned. What do I mean by that? Well, as a being, we are built around a being of life that supplies us with life, that infuses us with life. Life is going through us like a stream. And what happens is your life centers become misaligned with this life stream. And that is when you've got this day where everything just keeps going wrong. You haven't your life centers aren't aligned with this being of life. You also might have experienced a day where everything just everything just seems to flow. It's just going right. Everything just keeps flowing and flowing. That is when your life centers are much in alignment with the source of life. It also shows us that the life centers are not only connected to our internal life, to our experiences and the regulation, and but it's also connected to the outside of our life. What do I mean by that? It's actually connected to the physical objects outside of us. It's now that's very difficult to understand if you don't accept that everything is actually connected. It's a concept that's even difficult for me, but that's how I understand it, and that's what I've learned from these life centers. They are incredibly important in your life. They can ruin your life or they can really affect it positively. Now, through this exercise, we are learning to take control of our life centers, to bring them into alignment, to be more sensitive to what is happening to us, to respond appropriately. So let's work the one at the bottom of the skull. In here, it's about it. It's at the bottom of the skull where the brainstem enters, where the brain starts. So that is where you want to put your concentration. It's also at ear level. As I say, it's the auditory center. Now, if you become very good at connecting with it, you will have a much better experience of talking to yourself and being to explain things to yourself and using your verbal brain. So let's work it. Let's try and connect it. Go to the eye. Go to the eyes. Try and focus at the bottom of the skull and start humming, and then you just hum into it, and you don't think of anything else. Keep your mind just focused on it. It happens that your mind sometimes wander away. As soon as you recognize it, bring it back and keep focusing on it as best you can. You've really got to give yourself time to understand what you're doing, and giving your system time to figure out how is it supposed to handle what you wanted to do. What you're doing is you are focused What is the soul? The soul is the part of you that's connected to everything. I can't distinguish between between intention and the soul. According to me, they are the same principle, the same object, or what you want to call it. The soul is a part of the universal consciousness. On the level of the soul, everything is connected. That is the part where all knowledge and everything can be sensed. Consciousness only exists in the body. Consciousness is created when the soul connects to the life center. That's where you get consciousness. So consciousness only exists inside of the body, not outside, not on the soul level. The soul is something completely different. That means not even you are the soul. The soul is the essence of life, or as I say, it's more the intentional part of you. It's you can focus your soul, wanting to bring something to life, or creating something. That is when the soul is active. When you are engaged in activity that you really enjoy, and you start to feel alive and you're really engaged in it, that is when the soul is really connecting to the life centers and to yourself. I see the self as a spiritual being. It's something else. It's not the soul. You are not the body. You are not the life centers. You are something else. You're a spiritual being, which is difficult to understand. You can you direct the soul, but that intention is what the soul is. It's that focusing part of you. You focus on something. So what you're doing here is you're trying to focus, bring the soul actually into that life center. You're trying to activate it. You're trying to connect it. You're trying to create consciousness in it. And you have to give yourself time to do that. It is a delicate process. But if you work your life centers over a period of time, your life quality will slowly start improving. It's not an aggressive process. It's very subtle. But it's like going to the gym and exercising and you don't see any results. It takes months and months of practice before you start noticing, okay, I think I've got a muscle here now. It's beginning to show. So the same with this exercise. It's not, you won't see something happening and experience big differences. Some people are much more connected to themselves than others. They are much more in tune with themselves. And that's what we want to do. We want to reconnect to ourselves. So give yourself time, especially with this one. It's quite a difficult one to connect to. What I sometimes experience, it feels to me like water coming down a bowl and coming down into the skull. It comes down to that part of the brain. It's like water trickling down, and that's actually the soul starting to flow into the life center, connecting to it. So give yourself time to do that. So do these practices every day. Focus as best you can on them. I'm not going to refocus the camera at the bottom. There's no sense in doing that, but let's work the sacrum, that triangular bone at the back. At the bottom. let's try and focus on that one. If you can't find the spine, like I had that problem because I've got serious digestive issues, so I couldn't focus on that region. I couldn't come even close to it. What I did is I just focused on the soft tissue in the stomach. So I just focused on the stomach region. Camera's out of focus again. There's not a lot of light in here, and I don't like these LED lights. They're terrible. They're way too bright. So I just focused on the soft tissue here, and over the months my health improved, and I could actually go back to the spine, to the bone at the back. So, since it's a very important region for your existence, I would suggest also giving it a lot of attention. So, again, go to the eyes, and then actually try to look inside of your body, to try and develop your internal eye. You can do that. You can actually look inside of your body. We've got that ability. You can develop it. It's okay. Okay, let's give it a few tries. Go to the eyes, turn your eyes down if you can to that region and hum into it. If it's at all possible, try and bring the sound vibration into that region. Sometimes I can succeed in doing, but if you can't, don't worry about it. Try and connect with that region of your body. Try and look at it. Be as physical as you possibly can. Don't imagine anything. It's about the real body. It's about the real processes. This is as real as it gets. It's real life that you are encountering here. This was helpful to you, and keep on practicing.